It can be tempting to think that spending $15,000 on EDC will get you the absolute best EDC that you could ever want, and that spending less than $1,000 would get you subpar things. I'm here to tell you today that's not the case. I have built up this EDC collection over the last 25 years of my life, and I do have some really premium products here. But I also have products that are just one notch below, and I don't think it's a major compromise given the massive price difference between these. I'm going to talk through 5 categories of EDC and why you don't need to spend $15,000 to have an absolutely premium experience. So let's get started. How's it going, folks? My name's Marcus. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here on this channel, I like to talk about technology, EDC, and anything that can help me live a happier, balanced, more productive life. On the left-hand side of the table here, what I've got is when I add these 5 items up, they add up to about $15,000 today. And on the right-hand side, I've got about a $700 loadout. What I'm trying to tell you today is that there is actually not a major compromise between the two of these, despite the massive price difference. So let's go through this segment by segment and why I think spending $700 is an absolutely premium experience. It should be. It's $700. I'm not saying $700 is not a lot of money. It's a huge sum of money, but you can spend way more and only get 1% better. So let's go through my reasoning for that. This video is brought to you by Bellroy. More on that later. First and foremost, let's talk about watch. So I've talked about this a lot in these videos. The number one watch, the watch that I've always wanted my whole life, is the Rolex Submariner Datejust. I've wanted it ever since I saw James Bond had it when I was a kid. Before someone comments in the section below, that's the old James Bond. I've had people tell me that James Bond wears an Omega, not the original. So I'm talking about the old James Bond, and as soon as I saw that watch, I was like, that's what success looks like. That's the kind of watch I want to have. I think it's iconic. I think it's one of the most beautiful timepieces you can have. And when I got this, it was something I worked towards for a very long time. I didn't just have a bunch of cash that I just threw at it and just decided to buy it one day. It was always something I said I would buy when I achieved a certain point in my career, and that day came. I won an award, I got some money, and I put that money towards buying this watch to forever remind me that hard work pays off. That's why I have this watch, and I love this watch to absolute bits. But this watch is an expensive watch. And if you're to buy it new today, you can pay anything if you're lucky enough to be able to buy one new, because Rolex has this thing where you have to kind of buy cheaper watches and then work your way up, and you have to get on a wait list, and they do a really great thing in terms of making things scarce and rare and make people want them more. Good job for you, Rolex. That's genius strategy. But if you can buy one, it's about $12,000 is a guess in terms of US dollars. Maybe you can get them cheaper, maybe they're $10,000. For the sake of this video, roughly $12,000 watch. However, an equally premium experience is the Tag Heuer Professional. Now, just before making this video, I went on eBay and they have them anywhere from $200, $225, $250 for this watch. This is actually the watch I had before the Rolex Submariner, and I love this watch as well. It's an absolutely premium watch. Tag Heuer is a great brand. They're, synonymous with Grand Prix, fantastic timekeepers. And if you're looking for a premium watch, this is not a budget watch. If you're looking for a reasonably priced premium watch that gets you 99% of the experience of owning a Rolex, the Tag Heuer Professional is the one I would recommend for you. Now, the watch face is that little bit smaller, but it is definitely a classy watch. It's a classic. People will notice it, and it will make you feel. It makes you feel different when you put on an analog watch like this. It just, I don't know, puts you in a different frame of mind. It certainly does for me. I like wearing watches. There's just something romantic about it. And if you want to spend $250 on a watch, I would recommend you go for a used, something like this. You really can't go wrong with it. Okay, let's move on to wallets. Now, for the wallet section, I'm cheating a little bit. The Rolex was a $12,000 watch. For the wallet, I'm going to talk about this wallet that I actually made myself. In terms of cost, it didn't cost me a fortune. There's definitely expensive wallets you can get. I've had Montblanc wallets in the past and Paul Smith wallets, and I've loved them in their time, and I've worn through them and got rid of them. This is a wallet I made myself using a laser cutter. It is irreplaceable for me in terms of I've had it in my pocket for about 8 years, and I'll always. The smell of it, I don't know, it just feels like an extension of me at this stage. And I would say that this goes into the priceless category in terms of I'd be very upset if I lost it, despite the fact it didn't cost me a lot to make it in the very first place. I think I could probably make this wallet for maybe 20 bucks or less if I wanted to, but it would not have the same amount of time worn in my pocket. It wouldn't be this wallet, and this is irreplaceable. But in terms of if you're looking for a premium wallet that you don't have to spend a fortune on, I'd recommend looking at the Bellroy line of products. Now, Bellroy is the sponsor of today's video, but I did reach out to them about sponsoring this video because I buy these products myself and I genuinely like them and stand over the quality. They're not paying me to say positive things. In fact, they don't even know which product I'm going to review in this video. They've just agreed to sponsor it on the front of it. So that's the relationship I have here everything out front. So this is the Bellroy Apex Slim wallet, and I carried this for about 2 months over the Christmas break. As I was transitioning between wallets, when I decided to upgrade from the wallet I currently have, I tried this wallet out for 2 months. Now the criteria for a wallet for me is it must fit in my front pocket, it has to be super thin, I need to be able to carry 6 or 8 cards in it. I like this one because it's got lots of slots for cards. It's also got enough room to be able to put cash inside in it. There's a slot to put cash inside, and it also has a pull out internally. I really like that it's two-tone. I like this kind of blue exterior. It's really kind of flashy and posh. It's got this, kind of tan leather interior, and it screams quality. It's got RFID blockers if you care about that, and it's also got these little magnets that keep it closed. It's very satisfying. Really premium product wallet. It's about $130, maybe a little bit more with taxes, but for the price you're getting an absolutely premium product. This feels really premium. It feels like a much more expensive wallet, but it's much more affordable, and I really like it. Screams quality to me, and you don't have to break the bank for it. After wallets, I want to talk about pens. Now I'm a bit of a pen nerd, and if you've watched this channel before, I have a video here, click here if you want to know everything that I think about pens. But I have really gone down the rabbit hole. I like writing. I'm a big fan of pen on paper. The first thing I do every morning is get up and write morning pages where I scribble out all my thoughts in a journal just to dump them out of my head, just 3 pages of stream of consciousness, and it's really good for my mental health. And doing that, I love using a nice fancy pen. Now, one of the things I've always wanted to have is one of these Montblanc Meisterstücks. These are very expensive fountain pens. This is a fine nibbed. It's called the Le Petit Prince model if you want to look at it. The Little Prince model, if you're not saying it in French with an Irish accent. I realize how ridiculous that might sound. But this is a really premium pen, and as you'd expect when you pay, these go from anywhere from $500 to $700. These are crazy expensive pens. They have precious metals. I think this might have, does this have platinum in it? Someone will correct me in the comments, but the resins are precious. They'll tell you all this stuff. The bottom line is Montblanc is a classic, really, really fantastic brand, and the nibs on these are incredible. I don't let anybody else except me write with this. Nobody has written with this nib except for me. It's tailored to me. I know how to use the exact pressure I want to use on it to get a really nice writing experience, and I love using it. And I use this pen on special occasions, like when I buy a house, when my kids were born, signing their birth certificates. I bring this pen for those things. In fact, I've just bought a house in Ireland as a bit of a holiday home in Limerick, and I'm going to be signing the deeds. The documents are on their way here. They're supposed to arrive today. They're late. I will be using this pen to sign those deeds because I'm a romantic, and I love that. It's just something that brings joy to my life. However, that pen's a $700 pen, whereas for $25 you can get this Kaweco Sport. Now this is 90%, 95%, people are going to kill me in the comments, as good as the Montblanc. I'm going to say it again, this is a fine nibbed $25 pen, the Kaweco Sport, and it's about 90% as good as it. I love writing with this. It's a smooth writer. The nib is definitely cheaper, but it's a fantastic little pen. It looks premium. If people don't know pens and you pull this out of your pocket, it looks classy. It's got the black and gold. It's nice and small. It can definitely be EDC'd in your pocket as well. And anyone who asks me what pen should I be getting, what fountain pen, I tell them either get this Kaweco Sport, in the $30 range, either get the Kaweco Sport fountain pen or get the Lamy Safari. So it's a similar, I actually think this one is better than the Lamy Safari. I've only discovered this recently. I didn't know about it when I made another video, but I love this pen, and for $25 you really can't beat it. You don't need to spend insane money on it unless you want it to become kind of part of your lore and part of your history and the things that have happened. You can buy an absolutely beautiful writer for the money. The fourth category is pocket knives. I've always loved knives ever since I was a kid. Ever since I was 6 and I got my first Victorinox sack pocket knife. Actually, I've got a big 6-inch scar in the top of my lip from how I was opening that pocket knife when I was 6 years old using my teeth. Maybe don't give your 6-year-old a knife. I don't know, different times when I was growing up in the 80s. But I've always loved knives. I've always seen them as tools, and I've always seen them as incredibly useful. I don't see them for self-defense. I would never whip one out in a scenario like that. These are for opening boxes, for opening letters, for prying things open, things like that. And in this category, I've wanted one of these Chris Reeve Sebenzas for a while. This is kind of the Benchmark gentleman's knife. It's an expensive knife. So I paid $450 for this used on eBay. Now it was very lightly used, it was almost new. The reason I bought it used is because you can't buy them new. There's basically a 2-year waiting list if you try and buy these off Chris Reeves directly. All of them come with their own certificates of authenticity and the model number and exactly what it is. This is the Chris Reeves Sebenza. It's the short version. They do a long one and a short one. And I'll be totally honest with you, I've been really disappointed with this knife, and I think I might sell it this year. Given that it's something that I wanted for a long time, and it is one of the original pocket knives, one of the original ones that people go back to. I think they invented SV30 steel for this knife, which is kind of a staple in the knife community now. It doesn't open very well. It's quite tight. I've done all the things people say about, oiling it. I mean, I can open it one-handed, but it's not as smooth as some of the pocket knives that I really love. And it's not become part of my everyday carry. I've carried it with me a lot, but it's not become something that I've absolutely loved. And it's an incredibly expensive knife. So in this category, if you do want a premium knife, you don't have to spend a fortune. And for this, I'm recommending this, which only just came recently, which is the Vosteed Corgi. So some of the things I really like about this knife, let's start with the scales. It's got micarta scales, which I love. It gives it nice grip. It feels like kind of like a fabric. It's got this beautiful copper inlay on the mechanism, on the lock mechanism and the open mechanism here. When it's closed down, it closes real beautiful. Look at that. If I just press the button, it's gone, it's down. It's got lots of ways of opening it. So it's a front flicker, so you can flip it from the front, you can flip it from the back, or it's got a button that you can press so that you can flick it out by hand. So you can either flick it out by hand, pressing the button, you can flip it from the back. It's really just a nice fidget toy and something fun to play with. I'm not sure about the steel on this. It's the Corgi. It's got, someone can say in the comments, it's 14C26N. I don't know a lot about steels. I'm sure it's a soft steel. Maybe it's not as good as D2, or I don't know. But I really like it. It came really sharp out of the box. It feels really quality, and guess what? It's $50. For $50 plus taxes, you really can't beat it. It feels like a gentleman's knife, and I've actually been choosing to carry that in my pocket at the moment over the Chris Reeves Sebenza. It's not because I want to keep this mint and I need to keep it a beautiful, pristine knife. It's because I prefer carrying this, and when I want to open a box, when I pull this out of my pocket, this is more readily available, it's easier to open, it's extremely sharp, and I'm happy with it. So you don't need to spend the money. So give this one a look if you're interested in it. They got a bunch of knives, they're all really beautiful. It's a new brand to me. I don't know about its longevity or how long it will last, but in terms of having it for a few days, I think it's fantastic. And the final section, of course, is phones. I happen to have the iPhone 15 Pro. I like having the latest phone. I use phones a lot. I use it for this YouTube channel to create a lot of videos. It's the camera I bring with me most places if I'm not bringing my SLR with me, just for doing those quick shots if I'm on a plane or capturing some stuff that I want to use as B-roll in these videos. That always comes from this iPhone. But I've also gone for the big memory version. This is the 512 gigabyte version, because I shoot a lot of video and take lots of pictures of the kids, things like that. So I want to get a more expensive one. So it cost me the bones of $1,500 when I bought this iPhone. However, if you don't want to do that, you can just buy an iPhone 12. Staying in the Apple ecosystem, you can buy Android if you. I don't care what you buy. But I just happen to have this lying around, which is an iPhone 12 mini. You can buy that for about $235 I saw just now. It's a great iPhone. I carried this for the longest time because I love small phones. If Apple made an iPhone 15 Pro mini, I would absolutely pay $1,500 for it. The smaller the phone, the better. I think it's absolutely great. But anyway, you don't have to have the latest phone. Getting a phone 2 years old or 3 years old is 90% as good as buying the thing that's 3 or 5 times the price in this case. So always consider that when you're doing your EDC. Okay, so what are the things you agree with me on and what are the things you disagree with me on? Are you one of those people who's willing to go the extra mile and spend 10 times the money just to get that one thing that you love? For me, with the Rolex in that case, it's just always something I was going to buy. I realize it's only 5% better than the Tag Heuer, but for me it's worth just so much more because it's something I've always wanted. I'd love to hear what your comments are. I'd love to hear how you think about this video, and I love the community that we're building together here. Let's hear what you have to say. Good luck.